following Rachel is wonderful. It's sort of like a dramatic trailer to a mediocre movie, I think. And even Rachel sort of tripping through a number of names, whether it's Illuminate, Class Live, Blackboard Collaborate, you'll hear Lync. Don't get too hung up on the names, because sooner or later either another company will buy out the one that you're familiar with, or wait a year or two and a better product is going to come out. I think that's one of the important objectives of this week. It's not so much that you learn this or that technology, but that you learn technology, learn how to learn technology. This is the skill of our younger students. They just sort of learn this stuff intuitively. Well, it's not intuitive to most of us, so I think that will be perhaps the most important skill to come out of the week for you, is just feeling comfortable and confident to dive into a new technology, try to figure it out, and play around with it. So, as I say, what we're going to be focusing on is web conferencing, and Rachel described excellent examples of using web conferencing and Second Life for office hours. We're going to look at a couple of other applications. I will look more broadly at using, and I'm going to be calling it Class Live. It is underneath the hood Illuminate, which is actually Blackboard Collaborate. But again, that's not so important. So we're looking at Class Live web conferencing and a new player on campus, Lync. This is available through IT, and colleague Doug Marcassi will give a little demonstration on that. So I will be focusing on the use of Class Live in instruction, and even more specifically in outreach instruction. Because Class Live is a fundamental component of all online classes and e-companions that are taught through outreach. Take it even a step further, it is not available for the main campus. So you have another option, Lync. So I'm going to be focusing on Class Live, and Doug will be introducing Lync. And again, I'm not going to be teaching you this right now, and what I want to just try to emphasize are the benefits, the instructional benefits of using Class Live. Okay, let's get going. So why would you want a web conference? Okay, and I go over these quickly then. As Rachel very well demonstrated, you can meet all students all together at the same time. So the important thing is a web conference is a real-time meeting. And you can also, of course, meet with students individually or small groups. But the power of web conferencing is that you're leveraging a whole combination of communication technologies, instructional technologies, presentation technologies, and sort of weaving all these into a very successful session with your students. So the background here is the web conferencing screen. Really want to go into the details right now, but then the communication capabilities, you have audio capability through your computers. Let's leave it at that. And so if everybody has microphones, then you can all be communicating. The other option is you do have video through webcams, and so this is good for limited presentation of yourself or other students. You can only have you have the presentation window and up to 6 thumbnails, and the users choose who they want to be looking at. So it's not like it's activated by who speaks. It is high quality webcam appearance, so you don't really look the greatest necessarily. But it is a capability, and I think, again, for yourself, this could be an option. But the other question is it necessary? Do students really need to be seeing you through, 20-minute lecture or something? Perhaps not, but I know that Rachel uses it sometimes to actually sort of, it's a model and will sort of demonstrate exactly how these things change. So there are good purposes. And finally, you just have text chat or instant messaging right there in the conference window. So if students don't have audio capability, they can be posting questions and comments just in the text chat. The other great advantage of the text chat is sort of what's called the back channel discussions. So you may be presenting on class, and a student may sort of say, "Ooh, I know a good website relative to that." So they'll just inject a comment as well as the URL to that website, and so it sort of enhances the class. Some sort of looked at this as disruptive. It's like whispering in the class. Effective back channels are not. They enhance what's really going on at that moment. You can pay whatever degree of attention you want to that. But again, it should even sort of encourage back channel participation of students. Okay, the other capability, of course, are the presentations. In the original web conference screen, you have a big white area, and that's essentially the presentation whiteboard. And on that, you can present PowerPoint slides, you can just type to the whiteboard to kind of get discussion going. Students have the same capability. So, you're posing a question up here, while students can then even respond to it right there on the whiteboard. And what Rachel is a little more effective at, you can draw or write freehand. I was also attempting to use a stylus and pad, but even that's a little clumsy, and a mouse is even more clumsy. So generally, you probably just want to type in questions and so forth. But where you do need to annotate and so forth, that capability is there. And of course, again, as Rachel demonstrated, you can bring up images in the web conference that may require a lot of explanation. And so, bring up the image. You have editing tools, highlighters, pens, and so forth that you can then just point out things on the illustration. Another capability is to take your students on a web tour. If there's a website that's relevant to your subject of study, take them out to a museum or a resource site. And there's a couple of directions you can do this. You can do it as a web tour where you're leading them and they're following along, and the other is to simply sort of push them out to that website, which from there they can then go off and explore. So again, it depends on whether you want to be the docent who's saying we're walking, or you want to just say here's a museum, go after it. And another capability, as I mentioned, you can share applications from your computer. So whatever you can run on your computer, you can bring into the web conference. Here's just an example of an Excel spreadsheet where you may need to actually demonstrate a complex calculation. You just step students through every aspect of it. And again, you can share this with students. You can have them enter a formula into that. So again, you're not just showing the students, but you're actually sharing your computer with students. Another great advantage that a number have taken is to bring in a guest speaker. You can bring in a guest speaker by simply asking that speaker a little bit of time. They don't have to come, go in our meeting and so forth. They can just join the web conference and present and be available for students' questions and so forth. So again, great advantage of web conferencing is the guest speaker. Another purpose we're seeing in a lot of classes are that where students have had to give presentations, and generally in classes it's like, okay, the last 2 weeks of class, everybody's coming in with their PowerPoints and each student's doing a presentation. You can do that in Illuminate or Class Live, and basically hand over that control to the student, and they can then be making their presentation. So where you have the need for students to make presentations, this is an excellent option. Within a large class, or not necessarily large, you can create little breakout rooms where students go off, 4 or 5 students go off to discuss this or that, and after 15 minutes you bring them all back into the main class, just as you normally would do in a physical classroom. You can distribute handouts through the file manager and so forth. And you can have interactive assessment. You can, every 15 minutes or so, poll your students of like, okay, are you getting this? Is everybody with me to this point? And if a third of the class is saying no, well then you take a moment, you step back, and you sort of bring everybody up to speed. So a poll, a yes/no poll, is a quick way to get just engagement. It forces the student also to reach out, grab their mouse, and click yes. So if they kind of been heading off to their email or Facebook or whatever, they got to come back and just take this little simple exercise of clicking on one of the options. The other is you can actually get a little more sophisticated with an actual quiz, where you give students a number of multiple choice options. They enter those options, and then you can actually present the results directly to the whiteboard. And so in this case, it's like, okay, most of you got this right. A few of you didn't, and you can then correct that misunderstanding. And again, as Rachel pointed out, all these sessions can be recorded, so that students who weren't able to attend can return to them, or frequently students kind of go, even if they were in that session, it's like, okay, wait a minute, now 3 weeks later, just before the exam, she did talk about that at such and such a point. And go back to the recording, go back over it. Okay, web conferencing is not without some challenges and limitations. So in fairness, I should sort of point those out. The greatest is scheduling. In online classes, the great appeal is the time flexibility. Students can participate in the class whatever hour of day or night is most convenient for them. When you throw in the components like, okay, now we're all going to get together on Wednesday evenings at 6 o'clock. Well, the first emails of like, no, I'm working, and all these conflicts. So to just sort of throw this into an additional class can be disruptive, can be impossible. And a lot of instructors have simply accepted, okay, whoever can attend, come. The rest of you try to catch the recording later. Finally, another option is to sort of change the format or the delivery of the class. Because online classes are promoted as time flexible. We can set this up as what we've heard a couple times already, a hybrid class. So a hybrid class combines different technologies together. So a hybrid class may have actual real-time sessions in web conferencing once or twice a week, and then the remainder of the class is conducted online. And you basically kind of do this combination of technologies with most any of the technologies. But by setting it up as a hybrid class before registration, we can advertise it as saying, okay, this class meets Wednesdays from 5 to 6 or 5 to 7. So when students register for this, they know they have to be available at those times. So that's something to keep in mind. The other is the juggling. As I pointed out, you're leveraging a variety of technologies here while you're trying to teach a class. And no, there's no tech person sort of in the room there with you taking care of all this. So you're juggling discussions, trying to get your presentation up, students saying, I can't hear, so you're trying to tech support with that student, So it can be a challenge. It's a very accessible technology, but it can be difficult. What I really try to emphasize is prepare. You can do a lot of the preparation of your presentation before the session. So if you've got all your presentations uploaded and everything all set up, then you can be focusing more on teaching and assisting your students. And okay, it is not video conferencing. Outreach classes can be delivered through the Outreach Video Network, and this is sort of a screenshot of such a session where you have a video conferencing classroom here in Laramie. You've got video conferencing classrooms throughout Wyoming, but not beyond Wyoming, and students do have to go to specific locations. So, but the experience is probably closer to sort of the classroom situation. All this is presented on large, high-resolution monitors and so forth. So, and you have a tech person sort of in the next room assisting you. Web conferencing is more sort of on the fly, a little more informal, and you're conducting it all. And finally, it is still a technology-mediated experience. There's technology between you and your students. So the claims of web conferencing being just like being in the same room is a gross exaggeration. You're not in the same room. Generally, you're not even sort of sharing video. But it is an opportunity, and with distance education, to get everybody together at the same time and be talking about the same things. So this is a great advantage, but do understand that there is a technology between you and your students. But I don't want to leave you on the challenges, so very quickly, what web conferencing can do is a way to meet with students in real time, communicate through a whole variety of communication technologies, present in a number of ways, and share information and resources with your students, and to sort of hand over the web session to guest lecturers or students themselves, and interactive assessments, and recordings for playback later.
Excuse me. What about captioning?
It's not automatic, so it would need to sort of be added, added back in to the recording. So yes, that is a limitation of web conferencing. The session itself, there is not automatic captioning of the verbal communication that's going on.
Are there still just 100 licenses?
Okay, with Class Live, it is in every outreach class. It's available to you in any outreach class. If you're not teaching outreach, really want to look at Lync, which is sort of the option that is replacing Illuminate, which has limited contracts. We are still in an active contract year with Illuminate, so there are still limited numbers with that. I don't know that there's been a real determinative declaration of discontinuation of Illuminate, but that's what I expect. It is an expensive contract, and as Doug demonstrated, we have this very viable option that's available to all faculty. Okay, ready to learn a little bit about Lync?
Larry talked about, their product, there are a lot of similarities, as you'll see here, with WildLink. Now, WildLink is just our on-campus name for it's the Microsoft Lync program. If anybody used, in previous versions, there was a program called Office Communicator, and this is just the newest version of Office Communicator that was available in previous versions of Office. So Microsoft Lync, a couple of the advantages with this, now it's cross-platform, so it can be used on both PC and Mac. You'll notice a few differences just when you go to the online meeting portion of this from a Mac side. Okay. Now I set up what's called just an online meeting here with Larry, and to set these up, you can do it because once it's installed, Lync actually is integrated with Outlook, and so within Outlook, okay, when I go to create a new meeting, there's an option to create just what's called an online meeting, and this, like I said, integrates in with Lync. And then it is sent out just like any other meeting request to other people. All right, they'll receive this online meeting request. And then what it looks like when they receive it. All right. Again, as you'll see here, this is just what they get. So this is what Larry would see on his machine when he receives this invitation. There's an online meeting. There's just a link that you can take directly to it. If the person has Microsoft Lync installed on their machine, it'll join through Lync. The nice thing is, if you have students or whoever out there, even if it's colleagues that don't use Microsoft Lync, they can still join this online meeting through a what's called the web link. Okay, and so it'll open up just through a website. Yeah, about. And then also, this can be an audio. So if they don't have audio, for whatever reason, if they don't have audio through their computer, you can also use this as just a conference call. All right, people can just dial in to our 766-1200 number, and then you'll see down when they dial in. Then there's just a conference ID that they have to plug in, and then they would join this online meeting. All right, just like any other conference call that they would join. So now okay. So now that So with this meeting, as you can see, we've got to do an online meeting. Then we can do a share. So similar to the product that Larry showed you, the class live, we can share. Okay, as a presenter, then I can share my desktop. I can share a program. I can share a PowerPoint. There's also capability of whiteboards. Once it loads anyway. And then also it does have a polling option like the Class Live had as well. And then one other option that this does have is, as you can see here, you can also record the online meetings. And then it would just save it into a file. You can make it available to people, if you put it on, like you have a warehouse drive, or you could put it in any kind of video format you want, upload it to a website, whatever the case might be. But as you can see, you can do your recording of your online presentation. And just like, again, similar to that, the whiteboard that was available through the class live, all right, you can type on it, you can draw, you can insert pictures. All right, there's also the instant messaging option, and so participants can take part that way as well, with instant messaging. All right, so again, we've got instant messaging, you've got the whiteboard, we do have the poll. Okay, we can open PowerPoint, all right, whatever the case might be, all right, within this Microsoft Lync sharing.
So this is an on-campus
Or off. It's available. It's available to anyone as long as you're, faculty, staff, so you can load it on your machine for free. Okay, but then when you set it up and do online, like an online meeting like this, you can send it to anybody you want to. All right, and then so they can attend. If they have Lync, they can attend through Lync. Otherwise, they would just have an internet, a web browser link, but they would still see the same things.
but there's no reason to see you.
If you have a webcam, you can also do a video with them as well. Yeah, I don't have a webcam on laptop, but yeah, that's a possibility as well. Okay, and then you can also see the attendees. All right, if they're attending through Lync. Okay, if they're just attending through the web browser, you won't be able to see them that way.
So are these limited to people who are found on Outlook, or can you go to someplace else to draw people?
To have them be attendees?
To invite?
Yeah, you can invite anybody you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, so your colleagues across the country, whatever the case might be, that you can invite anybody you want to these. You could do that. I mentioned you can do a video conference with this. The video, you have to use a webcam video. So if you're in a classroom that has the video, where you can record for Wildcast, that sort of thing, that won't work. All right, it can only be through a USB video cam. Okay. I think it's somewhere around 200 or 250.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, sorry. So the question was, is there a limited number of participants? And somewhere around either 200 or 250. I don't remember which, but one of those. Okay.
So then to go off, I think what Meg said, does this have to be scheduled in advance, or could you find yourself, if you're snowed in, just do one right then?
You can do either way.
Okay.
Either way. Yeah, because again, to set these up, it's just through Outlook. You just through Outlook, it's just a meeting request, and you can put in your date and time. So yeah, I could set it up for right now and send it out to everybody, and then they would get the link to join in. And then also, even if they don't get the, if they don't know the phone number, but like every time I set up a web conference like this, my conference ID is always the same. So whether it's today, next week, next month, okay, so the conference ID is different for every single person, but it'll be the same every time you do it.
So the
Okay.
conference link and the phone number or the conference ID is automatic, generated when you send out the message?
Correct. Yep, it's automatically generated when you set up the meeting. Yep. Correct. Yeah.
When you're working on a Mac, does this work Outlook? Is it their mail?
Yes, you can do it through mail, or you can also set these up through Lync. Like I mentioned, Lync is available on the PC and on the Mac, so you can also set it up through just through Lync as well. Okay. There's just, like I said, there's just be a few features that are a little bit different for those of you that are on the Mac, but for the most part, you can do about everything that you can through PC.
Can you do it on an iPad?
Oh, what's that? There are apps for the iPad, also for the iPhone, the Android. Not really. Unless is there anything else?
Okay, Yeah, following our presentation was sort of the work period for this, so it seems like we're kind of slipping into that with questions. We can certainly begin on that sort of form, and then we'll see how you want to handle these work sessions.
Yeah, so we don't have any, I think we're going to do a poll for the lunchtime session. Want to do that now? What we're going to do now is you only need to see two things today. Can you hear me? Okay. You've only seen two things today, but what we'd like you to do is actually you can sit down and you can find either Rachel or Doug or Larry and ask them